Welcome back everyone. This is the part 2 of the video about pregnancy for the second years. So, in the first part we talked about how babies develop in the mother's womb. And I taught you something about delivery and gave a link in the description to Miss Kodebrander's channel where she explains how delivery is carried out. And now I'd like to go and dive a little deeper, and we're talking mainly about page 141 in your textbook. So a zygote implants itself, and therefore it attaches itself to the uterine wall. The moment it attaches, the zygote becomes an embryo. Um, so the embryo starts releasing hormones, as you know, but it also starts to form the placenta. And it also starts to form two membranes. It's called the amniotic sac around itself. And the baby swims in that sacs, and it protects it against bumps or so, or damage. So the placenta is like an organ which the baby makes. The placenta connects to the mother's uterine lining, and there is gas exchange and food exchange between mother and child, like there is in a normal organ from the mother, right? So an artery comes in, it goes through the capillaries, there's gas exchange, and the blood leaves through the vein. Well, it's a little bit different in babies and mothers. So there is the uterine wall, which is thick because of the hormones which stimulated it, right? Remember? And there's blood vessels in the uterine wall. And there's also blood vessels in the placenta. And there is where they meet. So there is a barrier between the mother and the child. The umbilical cord connects the baby to the placenta, and the placenta connects to the uterine wall and to the mother. All right. Inside the umbilical cord, there are three blood vessels. There are two arteries and one vein. The umbilical vein is the blood vessel which is rich on oxygen and rich on food. So in that way, you could compare it to the pulmonary vein. Remember, it's also in the normal body state. It's the only vein which contains oxygen-rich blood and has a lot of food. And in this case, from the baby, it's also the umbilical vein, which contains a lot of oxygen and a lot of food. And then there are two umbilical arteries, and those umbilical arteries, they carry a lot of carbon dioxide and other waste substances, because the baby cannot breathe normally inside the womb because it swims in the amniotic fluid. It has to get rid of its CO2 and get new oxygen via the umbilical cord, right? And it also has to eat and drink via the umbilical cord, and it also has to get rid of its waste, urine and other substances, right? So it totally depends on that umbilical cord, right? So then the placenta itself is a filter. It blocks most of the toxins which are in the mother's body or in the baby's body. Unfortunately, however, it doesn't block alcohol, nicotine, viruses, drugs, etc., etc. So that's why they say don't drink during your pregnancy, right? The baby could also get addicted to nicotine or to alcohol when mothers use that during their pregnancy. And it's very, very dangerous because the mother has a very strong immune system. She has very big organs, right? Her organs can withstand those toxins, right? Her liver will break down the alcohol and it will break down the nicotine. But the baby has no liver yet, or maybe a very tiny developed liver. So the baby is very vulnerable against those toxins. So it's certainly sure that if you use alcohol or nicotine during pregnancy, you will either damage the baby or even kill it. The brain, for example, doesn't develop well if a mother drinks alcohol or smokes cigarettes. Not to speak even about drugs like heroin or so. Babies can be born already addicted to the drugs because their mothers used it during pregnancy. So that's very important. Okay, to sum it up a little, when a baby attaches itself it becomes an embryo. The embryo forms a placenta and forms two membranes. Inside the membranes there is water, which is called amniotic fluid. The baby swims in it and therefore protected against bumps. The placenta is an organ which the baby develops and is the connection to the mother. The umbilical cord connects the placenta to the baby. Inside the umbilical cord there are 3 blood vessels, 2 arteries and 1 vein. The arteries are high on carbon dioxide and the vein is high on oxygen. The placenta is also a filter, but unfortunately it cannot filter out alcohol, nicotine, viruses or other drugs. Okay, that's it for now. I ask you again, please fill out the forms and also watch the Prezi, of course. The link to the Prezi is in the description. Thank you very much for your attention. Hope to see you soon in a lesson. Bye.